And
What is
we're
up,
live.
guys? How are we doing? Welcome to another Jedi In Exile
Another
podcast.
one?
What, another one? Jedi In Exile podcast with me, it's Tats, and the ever charming, the Norfolk Lion. What can I say?
I say.
Um, welcome. Um,
Good
it
evening, Matthew.
it is Book of Boba Fett Day. Um, it is Book of Boba Fett Day, so hopefully those in chat and those watching have seen episode 2. Evidently, Chuck Rock has not, from the looks of the chat. Leave it on alert, Chuck. Mute the tab. Catch the VOD later on. So yeah, if you've not seen it, maybe put us on pause. Go watch it. Come back.
Go watch the first episode that we did.
Yeah, go watch the first episode that we did if
Right,
you've seen
just give
episode
us a
1.
give us
Little
a
plug.
chance to plug. We reviewed episode 1.
So that is up on YouTube. If anyone wants to go and see that, that'll be linked. And whilst we're here and whilst we're plugging, feel free to follow all of the Jedi in Exile socials. So that's either the Jedi in Exile or Jedi in Exile on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and obviously Twitch. Drop us a follow. Make sure that you don't miss stuff. And yeah, other than that, get yourself comfy, get yourself cozy. It's nice and cold up here in Scotland today, so get yourself comfy, get yourself cozy, and get ready to
It's cold
settle
down
in.
here in England as well today.
Well, there we go, mate. Get ready to settle in as we take you through our views and thoughts on episode 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. So,
Which, let's start straight away. Episode 2, because episode 1 was, I thought, a nice beginning. So I gave it an 8 out of a 10. You gave 7 out of 10, I want
I
to
think
say.
I
Did
gave it.
you?
I
Or
think
did
I
you
gave
give
it an
7?
8 as well. I think we
Oh,
both
did
went.
you?
Yeah, I think we both
Oh
went in
no,
with 8.
we did both go 8. Yeah. It was a really nice beginning. Not a lot happened, and it was a bit shorter than we um thought, whereas this one was almost an hour. It seemed like loads happened in this episode. We've still got those flashbacks of how Boba got from the Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi, basically up to like being part of the Mandalorian series. We kind of got that in this episode, so quite a lot happened, and of course, we saw a woodworking tutorial,
We did. We
um,
did. So for those of
which
you
was
that
the highlight of it for me.
are into your woodworking but maybe don't like Star Wars, still maybe an episode for you. Pretty solid.
He had
And
plenty of tools to uh, woodwork his
I
staff.
I learnt a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I learnt a lot. Um, but no, I would agree with you. Right, we had traditional in like a series, a slow-ish start, and we talked about that. If you've not seen it, go watch it. It's the last time I'm going to mention it. If you've not seen our chat about episode 1, go watch it. But we kind of said it was a little bit slow. Most episode 1s for new series are quite slow because they need to lay a bit of the groundwork, give you a little bit of backstory.
Yep.
This one a little bit less so. I felt like this one kind of explosive and things going on without it necessarily being super actiony, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's
Um,
good that like I think the prequels were a little bit guilty, and I know they're films, so it's different, and it's like Hollywood, but the films were guilty of these huge like choreographed fight scenes. And don't get me wrong, we love it, but The Mandalorian and Boba Fett just has a kind of nice mix where you're not watching a 10-minute fight. It'll just be like a couple of minutes long, if that, and it's more. I think it's more real world. It's more gangster, isn't it? I mean, we spoke last week and said that The Mandalorian and Boba Fett have got that kind of old school feel about them, kind of like an old western. It literally is the American West mixed with sci-fi.
yeah, what
Um, and
100%.
like kind of Western fight, and it's a bit more real world in my view. So it's really cool in that aspect that you're not just like, yeah, the fighting's cool, but come on, wrap it up, guys. It, it's taken a while. There's none of that. It was a good amount of storytelling and being mixed with a couple of fight scenes. Nothing too major.
Yeah, but also kind of some actiony stuff that wasn't necessarily just fight based. And we'll work our way through the episode as we normally do, kind of go stage by stage by stage as to kind of a few of the key things that happened. But I mean, like the train scene was very actiony, but it was quite like action adventure-y rather than, oh, I'm going to punch someone in the face. And yes, there were people fighting and there were people getting thrown around, but it wasn't, oh, like you said, 10 minutes of let's just batter each other. It was, there was a little bit more to it than that. It was a little bit more put together.
10 minutes of Royal Rumble.
Exactly. Like thinking that Triple H and The Undertaker are going to rock up at any minute. So let's get into kind of what we saw. Pinhead Mike, thank you very much for hosting the stream, as always. Massively appreciated. Let's get into what happened. So we kind of start the episode with, there was the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 with Fennec fighting the guys that had attacked Boba and the guards, and we kind of see at the end of that she cornered one of them and was about to kind of capture them, whatever. So we see him get taken back to, I'm going to call it Jabba's palace, but
yeah, I was literally just about to say,
yeah. So back to Jabba's palace under new ownership. # grand reopening. And kind of
be a big banner on every scene, like under new management.
Exactly. Hey, they're serving pale ales now. But they take him back to Jabba's palace. They kind of try and interrogate him a little bit. He doesn't want to talk. And so here we see the first kind of throwback to the original trilogy, in that he gets dropped into the Rancor pit. And the hilarious thing here, the big reveal, oh, there's no Rancor. So when he got dropped, in my head I'm going, but the Rancor's dead. Like, what? Yeah. What? The Rancor's dead.
I was like, how are they going to play this?
And done to perfection, obviously. So it's great. So they find out, or they find out. They get told that that the mayor sent the assassins, which I think, can't remember if I said it on the pod or if I said it to you afterwards, that was what I thought would kind of be the play. That seemed the fairly obvious.
About that last week.
The fairly obvious play. So that allowed us to have a little bit of a confrontation play out between a new character that's been introduced and the first time we get to meet him in the series, and that is the mayor. Now I don't know if Brian's still with me or not, because he has dropped off, but yeah, his camera's got.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. You just got no camera.
How odd.
I
think I just took a sip of my tea and moved my wires.
Oh, okay. You have a fiddle and see if you can get it sorted. We can still hear. We can still hear you though. So obviously feel free to chime in. But yeah, so we get to meet the mayor, who is an Ithorian, I believe. So he's up on screen for those of you that are watching rather than listening. And he's this kind of quite standoffish, calm. There he is. He's back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. #
Cool.
live.
Sorry, I heard everything you said.
# live podcasts.
I've got StarWars Battlefront 2 on a 50 gigabyte download at the moment on my PlayStation.
There we go.
So
committed to the cause.
A bit my Wi-Fi.
Committed to the cause. So yeah, we meet the mayor. This Ithorian male who essentially runs the town.
Could I just say, what I find really interesting and what I'm always excited about in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett now is that whenever there's a new character that's going to be introduced, I'm always thinking, is it somebody from the original series?
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw this Ithorian, and I haven't actually researched this and looked, and I have meant to beforehand, don't we see, and I know there's probably thousands of Ithorians in the Star Wars universe, But when Luke, Obi-Wan, 3PO, and R2-D2 go to the Mos Eisley, the
The
bar,
the cantina,
isn't
yeah.
there an Ithorian sat there?
Um, I don't know. I remember there's the Devarian that sits in the corner with his little horns and stuff. There's
Yeah, yeah.
I think there might be.
I feel like there is. I mean, why the mayor of Mos Espa would be
Yeah.
in Mos
Well,
Eisley
who knows?
in a bar,
Who
who
knows?
knows?
Um,
But that's what I'm interested in. I thought maybe before when they talked about this mayor, I thought they were maybe gearing up for like a big reveal of somebody from the original series.
well,
It's
I
interesting.
wondered.
It's just
I wondered whether it was going to be Kira from Solo, just purely because there was
Hmm.
kind of that like didn't want to do a reveal, didn't want to do a reveal, and obviously we know that she kind of got into some shady stuff off the back end of
Yeah,
Solo.
yeah.
So yeah, we meet this guy, and he kind of says, "Nah, nothing to do with me," and kind of says, "Oh, it's a setup. I'm being stitched up, essentially." Pays a bit of lip service to Boba, but in quite a snarky way. Kind of quite clear that he doesn't really respect him, even though he says that he does. Um,
Yeah, and he kind of says that he's not the new Jabba, is he? That Jabba has got. They mentioned the twins,
yes.
um, which was just really interesting. Um, so, because at this point you're thinking, well, who's the twins? And in my head, I was thinking, there's a kid in the Clone Wars film. I was like, surely Dave Filoni has not brought something from the Clone Wars film into the Book of Boba Fett. Um, and yeah, so I'll let you continue. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So we kind of head outside, and when we head outside, we have this reveal of the twins, which I was expecting that to be our next episode. Next episode we'll find out, or end of this episode. Again, another one of these. Who are these mysterious twins? And I think I need to do a bit of research. It might already be out there who they are, but because a lot of this stuff's like developed through the comic books and through other mediums. So it might already be out there, and there are probably bigger Star Wars fans out there who know exactly who they are if that information's already out there. But basically, what we see are two massive huts, a brother and a sister pulled along on like a massive platform by tons of servants.
Yeah, they've got their litter.
Yes. And it gets pulled along, and they basically have a chat with Boba out the front, and Boba's giving it the big un, kind of like, oh, I'll kill you, all that kind of stuff. Very interesting throwaway line that I don't think is such a throwaway line, but I think a lot of people might have glanced over it. He says that he'll kill them, and Fennec says, you'll have to ask permission.
Yes.
So interesting
There's
to
like
know.
the Council of Huts, isn't there, that we see
Yeah,
in the Clone Wars? Is it the Clone Wars film?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Where Jabba's like the head of like a almost like a council of
it's like a
huts.
family, right? Like that's
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
that's
the
the whole
Hutt clan.
point.
It's just the mafia.
So interesting there, but then they break out their muscle, who is a new character to live action, but is not a new character within the Star Wars universe. We've seen them before in the comics. Again, I'm not huge and up on the comics. I think you've got the name of the character there somewhere, but it is this badass looking Wookiee who also looks slightly constipated in this picture.
And you can tell straight away, and yes, I agree. So this character is Black Krishtan. Krishtan, yeah. Um, you can tell it's just a little cameo. He like walks from behind the huts, but you know, just looking at him, he's a Wookiee. He's going to be a big character.
Yeah, so
So
I
it's going to be like it's the given that there's going to be a big battle. Well, the whole series will lead up to this, but there's going to be a big battle between him and Boba.
so one of the massive things that we always see with this stuff, like I get on all the forums and all the kind of like rumor mills and stuff. So In the trailer for the entire series, there is a character that rocks up on a speeder bike. She is or is rumored to be an up to date and re entry of an old Legends character, who there were comic books and stuff about. Kira, they reckon, is going to make a return based on the fact that Marvel have started upping her story for like in the comic books, and they've just released a new run that's got her in it. Slim, thanks very much for the follow, much appreciated, man. So he came into the comics, and his appearances within the comics got ramped up quite recently. So people are trying to spot these trends, and they think that potentially that's what's leading us to some characters that might get introduced at some point. But yeah, totally agree with you. Really looking forward to kind of seeing what happens with this guy and where we go with it all. So we will.
Sorry, because how many Wookiees do you see? Like...
Well, this is the thing, right? Because a lot of them will have still been like slaves, and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see kind of what comes of that, and I potentially will try and do a little bit more background research before next week on that character a little bit more, so we can kind of see what's going on with that. But living the dream with that. Fingers crossed we get to see some cool Wookiee fight action at some point this series. So
it's cool because that was kind of where the episode kind of shifted. Because half the episode was like in real time then, and then the other half was a flashback, and it was a lot longer side of a flashback than what we'd seen in the previous episode, where it was kind of like bit by bit. There was a flashback. It was real life flashback, real life flashback, real life. This one then went back to Boba Fett being with the Tusken Raiders again. And can I just say, I'm loving the fact that we get Tusken Raider scenes, because they're in quite a few of the movies, and they're just portrayed as these, well, I suppose what they are, just tribal fucking weirdos. You just love going.
There's the clip. There's the clip. TikTok. We will see you soon.
And yeah, just like they come over as these like fucking basically cavemen, which it doesn't appear they are from this. And the only other real time Star Wars has delved into Tusken Raiders was the Kenobi book, which I want to say was written by John Jackson Miller. And this was centered on when Obi-Wan goes into hiding on Tatooine. The Tusken Raiders, they have a problem, and Obi-Wan hears about this rumor of someone with like a laser sword who's killed an entire tribe, which obviously we know as being Anakin, Attack of the Clones, and it delved in that they were really afraid of Obi-Wan. The story goes on, and by the end of it, they're all best buddies. So it was just nice to see a bit more of the Tusken Raiders. And of course, this is where the Woodworking 101 with Boba Fett came in, which was just really funny. And really good acting as well. I thought that I just love the actor who plays Boba Fett, Tamara Morrison. He's just got this aura about him. Like the scene when he steps on the train, and everyone, it's just such like a Western, isn't it? When someone walks through those swinging doors,
you're like, he's here.
He's enough for the both of us.
He's here. He's got the swagger. He loves it.
Everyone like puts their drinks down. There's that one guy shaking in the corner, like, holy fuck, get me out of here.
So we could go in and digest scene by scene, but basically, like what we kind of see happen is it picks up from the flashbacks from episode 1. Boba's hanging out with the Tuskens. Like you said, we get to see a bit more about Tusken Raider culture, a little bit more kind of how they're structured and how things work, and he makes a comment. And we'll get on to kind of how it ends, but he makes a comment to somebody who says that, you know, they assumed that they were just like savages, uncivilized savages, and he's like, that they're not.
Well, he must have spent a good sort of 4 years, you're probably thinking, with the Tuskens, because there's a 5-year difference between The Mandalorian and Return of the Jedi. So you're probably thinking he's got to have been with the Tuskens for quite a while. I mean, we're obviously going to find out probably how he meets Fennec Shan and what happens with that. It's He must have been with them for a while because you see he's talking the language. He's doing like sign language to them. Um, he's teaching them how to read get like speeder bikes. So the Tusken tribe is attacked by this long train that's going through, like a hover train, speed train. Looks like a Chinese bullet train, high speed rail. Um, and the Tuskens are being like picked off. So Boba realizes this and teaches the Tuskens how to use like speeder bikes, which just makes them more efficient. It brings them into the metaphorical 21st century in Star Wars.
Yeah, so you kind of see when he brings the bikes back, they start attacking them. Like they're just there, and they start attacking them. He tells them like, no, these are for you to use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were probably going to strip them down for parts to then trade them with like Jawas for like basic necessities like water.
So you kind of see all this training, you see him kind of integrating himself, and I think last episode we saw him establish himself as not a prisoner and more kind of there with them, and this was developing on that. This was kind of a give and take relationship in regards to like he was teaching them stuff and and then they were teaching him about their culture and how to survive. So we kind of fast forward a little bit. We get the usual kind of training montage of seeing them try and fail and try and fail and try and fail.
Movie.
Yeah, exactly. You can all picture it. So we see the I'm gonna say like the train heist go down. And at this point we actually kind of get to see this is the action sequence that I really enjoyed. Probably like 7-8 minutes of the 50-minute episode dedicated to kind of this attack on the train, this heist on the train. Go on.
And you know what I liked in this was that loads of the Tuskens died, and the only reason I liked this is because it's real
Savage.
life.
That's savage, mate. He's just admitted live on Twitch that he wanted to see the Tuskens die. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never forgiven them for shooting at Anakin and doing the pod race. No, it because we often see that, especially with the stormtroopers, there's the ongoing joke that they can't hit the side of a barn door, blah blah blah. Whereas right away you see loads of these Tuskens die because they're going up against like assassins or people who are just trained,
Yeah.
and who can hit a target. So straight away they're all snipers. Loads of them are getting shot.
But
and
do you not
I think that's just pretty good.
Do you not think that this is the tone that's been set by the Mandalorian? That this is something that if you look at and I know that this stuff is all like Disney Plus originals or Disney originals, however you want to refer to them, because they've been funded by Disney and they come straight through onto the Disney Plus streaming service. But I feel like the stuff that Disney have been releasing through the kind of like straight to streamer service rather than out in the cinemas or feature length stuff, they've kind of taken away that Disney kind of filter that they tend to put on things.
This is basically Disney have given Dave Filoni and John Favreau like a load of money and just said,
make what you want to make. Yeah, make what you want to make. And I feel like they've kind of stepped it up adult wise. And yeah, it feels more real because you've not got these, like, you got to think about it. If you go back to go back in history when guns started to become a thing, if you had people using guns against people that were using swords, like, it was going to be a massacre. And that's essentially what you see. You see these people that, okay, they have got guns as well, but very primitive, very kind of Stone Age style weaponry against people that have access to much more modern technology. It made it feel much more real and kind of believable, I guess, is probably the way to phrase it. So I really enjoyed that. We then get into who are these people on the train, and so for those that haven't seen it properly, obviously these guys have got masks on. They're kind of like a amphibian fish style species. So the theory, and you'll get this here first from us. It's probably been confirmed somewhere, so we're saying it like it's a big hot
Yeah,
take. But
yeah.
the theory from you guys here at Jedi in Exile is that it's these guys, and these
Mm.
are the Pikes, who we see in the final series of the Clone Wars.
Mhm.
And what are they doing? Dealing spice. What's on the train? Spice. The guy's got
Oh, I
the
wonder
masks.
what is all this fucking spice as well? If people like, I know this is like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, blah blah blah. But can you imagine a load of people just like here, like trading paprika?
It's oh,
Like there'd be a whole market for it.
I'm gonna have to give it for anyone that's seen How I Met Your Mother. I'm gonna have to give it that oh honey moment. It's drugs.
Right, okay.
Spice is drugs. It's like heroin. Like it's that sort of thing. It's like a recreational drug,
Right, okay.
but black market recreational drug. Um, so that's why
I love the way that Star Wars have gone
they're
like PC with it.
they're not
Like
they're not fighting over the they're not fighting over the chili
you're
flakes
fighting
in it.
over it. Yeah.
Like that's not what's happening.
If you can eat spicy food, you must be rich.
Exactly. Like, oh, how are we going to transport this spice? I know how to make it easier. Let's put it in a curry, then put it on the train. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this is what we think it's the Pikes. I'm sure it's been confirmed somewhere. We'll try and get it confirmed for next week for you guys. But it's the Pikes, and basically,
Huge significance to this.
yeah. So the significance to this is that at the end of the Clone Wars, we see Maul pulling together like is it 5 crime families, crime syndicates into like one master crime syndicate, and the Pikes are part of that. So this now brings us back to Kira becomes Maul's number 2 at the end of Solo, after taking out is it Dryden Voss, Paul Bettany's character. I'm pretty sure it's Dryden Voss.
Yes, yeah.
So he's out of the picture. She takes over and like starts getting involved. So are we going to see a Maul cameo? Are we going to see a Kira cameo? For those that are interested in this sort of thing, Emilia Clarke has 0 acting credits for the entirety of 2021 listed anywhere. So is that something that because something was being kept secret, or is that just because of COVID? Who knows? We'll leave
We
that.
can only hope.
We'll leave that one dangling.
I'm gonna say that we probably won't see a Maul one. I'm just gonna say that unless something happens, just because Maul was killed in Rebels, season 3 towards the end when he goes in search of
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, and it's an old Obi-Wan.
Yeah. True.
It's in like an Alec Guinness style Obi-Wan.
True
So
that.
I'm thinking it's not going to be Maul. However, the Emilia Clarke theory, the Kira, I think that's could be a goer.
Obviously, it'll be an older Kira because when Emilia Clarke's there, we kind of see her with young Han Solo and obviously timescales and stuff. But we could see it.
This will be probably a good 15 years after Solo.
Well, you're talking that this is set after Return of the Jedi, right? So it's out there.
When's Solo in the period near A New Hope?
A little bit before.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know.
But we don't know. They've done so much stuff with like aging and de-aging and CGI faces, etc. Like you just don't know what they're gonna do. So maybe
The Pikes also, the other significance is that they had Master Cypher Dyas
yes,
imprisoned,
yes,
which is connected to Cypher Dyas was the person who put the order in for the clone troops from Kamino. So the Pikes could be potentially, we could have some huge stuff if they're involved in more episodes. We could have some huge stuff come out about all this. And again, I like it. It's Dave Filoni, who's been part of the Clone Wars since the beginning. You know, he's doing all these series. It's almost like he's the Kevin Feige of Marvel, where he's got this bigger picture. and everything's just going to feed into one. And it's almost like it's a nod to the hardcore Star Wars fans who have been through and watched like all the shitty, some of the shitty Clone Wars episodes. Has been through like the whole thing,
Well, we talked about it
and
when
it's like a nod to them.
we talked about it when we talked about Clone Wars, right? Like this is
Mm.
Jon Favreau, and so Jon Favreau from the Mandalorian era, but Dave Filoni from the Clone Wars and then into the Mandalorian. They've got a plan. They're not just making stuff because they're like, wow, this would be cool to see on screen, and this would be cool to see on screen, and this would be cool to see on screen, which historically is very much what George Lucas did. It was kind of like, here is the outline of a story, and then wouldn't it be cool if this happened, and then if this happened, and then what happens if we did this with it, and then we could do this and make this happen and this happen. So it feels like they've very much got a plan, and that there is kind of stuff coming through, and people that actually know their stuff as well, like know their Star Wars lore. So absolute class. I think that's great. So we move into like the end of the episode. And the end of the episode sees Boba go on this weird, like, spiritual journey with the Tusken Raiders. And then this is where the title of today's episode comes from. We basically see him come back with a tree branch and turn it into a gaffy stick.
Yeah. And that's the significance, is that that's the gaffy stick we see him with when he appears in The Mandalorian. And he gets dressed in the gown,
the
that
black
he's wearing,
robes,
because he hasn't got his armor. So I feel like we're coming towards the end of that kind of finding out what Boba did in between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be
we're coming
surprised.
towards the end of that.
I wouldn't be surprised with how long a flashback, or how much of a chunk of this episode was flashback. I really wouldn't be surprised if this is them phasing from flashback into telling the story going forwards. They've filled the gap, and now they can let it run out. And that is pretty much the rundown of what we saw in the episode. I'm going to say, from me, solid, thoroughly enjoyed it. Took what happened last week, built on it beautifully. I'd say if you take this episode as a standalone episode, I'm going to go up there and say that it's probably a 9 out of 10 for me. It's up there. It's good.
I completely agree.
So just genuinely solid. Pacing good. There weren't bits of it where I was going, oh, come on now. Like we said, there was enough action.
It wasn't too long.
Yeah, and there wasn't this whole throw 10 minutes of action in but just make it pointless. Like, all of it was necessary, helped tell the story. Really, really solid for me.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with that. 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's going to be hard that we're giving the first episode 8, this one 9.
Yeah, well,
we're going to start going into like 11s, 12s, and 13s soon.
You know, crank this thing right up to 11. I think maybe it's because it's a new series and we're super excited for it, so we're going in like way higher than we should. But I think it's strong, and I think this whole series, I honestly feel from the reactions that we've seen on Twitter and on all the different social media platforms, it's gone one way or the other for most people. People are either saying it's absolutely incredible, or people are saying it's terrible. There's no one coming in going, it's all right, like, I'll watch it, but I'll just watch it because it's there to watch. Like, I think people have gone, love it, can't wait for next week, stay up till midnight to watch it as soon as it goes live on Disney Plus. Or there's people that have just gone, watched episode 1, can't be bothered with the rest.
Yeah.
So, but you guys let us know what you think. For those that are watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments down below. Tweet us, ping us on Insta, whatever you want to do. Get in touch, let us know if you've been enjoying the series, how you found it, what you think's going to happen, what you're excited to see, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll let you do the sign off for this week's episode now.
Cool. Well, for the last 5 minutes, I desperately needed a pee. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Like Matt said, thanks for watching this episode. You'll catch it on YouTube. Let us know comments, subscribe, like, all that jazz. But no, thanks for the support from everybody. Thanks for the guys, new followers tonight, the people hosting. We are getting the word out about the Jedi in Exile. So we hope you have a good week. We'll be back next Wednesday where will be reviewing episode 3. So make sure you're all caught up, all watched it. We'll be going live at 9 o'clock again. And will be watching Caravan of Courage. I've tried it twice and I just haven't got more than like 5 minutes in, but I'm gonna commit to watching it, and we will do also an episode on the Caravan of Courage.
Yeah.
So
keep your eyes peeled. We're going to try and get some videos out over the next kind of month or so to go in. They'll be going straight up on YouTube. So if you don't, if you're not like following, subscribed over there, get over there. Drop it. Make sure that you don't miss out on any of the videos that we put up, and follow the socials for any updates. And other than that, we will see you guys all next week, 9 p.m. Enjoy next week's episode if you get to watch it before then, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.
peace out. May the force be with you.